The Critical Drinker is one of the biggest film YouTubers out there, amassing over 3 million subscribers on all of his channels and over 1 billion views as well. But he is one of, if not the most divisive creators in this space as well, seemingly having just as many haters as he does fans. But is this all deserved? Today I want to look back at the career of the Critical Drinker, aka Will Jordan, from his beginnings on YouTube to this very day, and to answer one question. Does the Critical Drinker even care about movies, or is he just doing this for the money? This isn't supposed to be a hate video or anything. There are plenty already out there, and I know a lot of his fans will watch this and think I'm just another hater. But I'm just trying to be as unbiased as possible when answering this question. With that said, let's get started. Now, let's go back to the very beginning. Will Jordan, aka the Critical Drinker, was born... Alright, that's a little too far back. Let's fast forward a bit. The Critical Drinker channel was created on September 20th, 2006, with the first video being uploaded on August 12th, 2012, being called General M. Bison vs. Bane.
What are you?
A madman?
Why didn't you just kill me?
Why?
Your punishment must be more severe.
It wouldn't be until 5 years later until he would have his first two massive videos after taking a hiatus. The videos Star Wars, The Problem of Rey and The Last Jedi, and The Assassination of Luke Skywalker. Even early on, despite the first video being a literal slideshow and the audio being unlistenable by today's standards, we can see many, if not most of his traits and arguments to this very day. Riding off of the controversy of Star Wars The Last Jedi and the controversy that film started, he essentially just regurgitates the same complaints that many other haters had to say about this film. Rey's a Mary Sue that never loses, this film is a disgrace to the original trilogy, Kathleen Kennedy is to blame, Rian Johnson sucks, and how films from the 80s just did everything so much better and then push these politics. Stuff he still says to this very day. Despite the poor quality of the videos themselves, Will's content really connected with many out there, and gave him a huge momentum boost. During this time period, he was just uploading random movie and game reviews, but one video from this time really stood out and would eventually determine the future of his channel. His video from July of 2018, Why Ghostbusters 2016 Failed, a scene comparison, to date his most viewed video on YouTube with over 8.5 million views. Ghostbusters 2016 is one of the most hated films of the 2010s. Basically everyone online had something negative to say about this film, and Will rode this wave. Everyone knows how shit of a movie this is, no matter who you are, so this video gave another boost to the Critical Drinker's channel. He's more tame in this video compared to the Star Wars ones, and doesn't bring up anything divisive or controversial, so it makes sense why his video took off the way it did. He would still continue doing his retrospectives and reviews on older games and shows, but by late 2018 and early 2019 came around, we started to see the Critical Drinker we know of today, starting with his videos on Captain Marvel and Brie Larson. Perhaps even bigger and more controversial than Ghostbusters 2016. In case you forgot, YouTubers like Will were acting like Captain Marvel is the end of film as we know it, and Brie Larson personally wished harm on them. I mean, look at one of his friends Decordering, who has over 100 videos on this. Like, come on, what are we doing here? A lot of Will's arguments are pretty stupid. Like in his Black Panther is overrated video, his complaints of the film is that everything that happens in the film is stupid and doesn't make sense. Yes, the world of Black Panther and Wakanda in the Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't follow the logic of our world. Maybe because it's a fictional world? I don't know, that's my guess. But these negative videos got way more views and traction than his other videos, so we'll continue to make more and more of them. Although the videos themselves were still pretty subpar,
it's all possible because of Vibranium, a magical bullshit material that allows you to do anything the writers need you to do.
Essentially just plot summaries with an occasional comment here and there. Will just rode this anti-woke movement that was so prevalent at this time, and people really ate it up. He would never go as hard as other YouTubers. Nelson didn't have the best production, but he continuously would just use the same talking points as other YouTubers like Decordering and Nerdrotic. I thought I would have more to say up to this point, but there isn't that much to say about his videos from around this time. It's mostly shallow criticisms, plot summaries of movies, and attacking movies and TV shows that other people already hate, with an occasional retrospective and positive video here and there. If there's a new film coming out from a franchise from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, and there's now a woman or person of color in it, he'll 95% of the time say it's a disgrace to the original source material and a bad movie even before it comes out. It's especially bad when it comes to films that are well liked by most people, like the aforementioned Black Panther and Creed. It just feels like hating just to hate. And I want to briefly talk about his persona, his drunk rambling. Yeah, this isn't something appealing to me, alongside the poor audio quality and the 2010s era jokes that just don't hit whatsoever nowadays. Like seriously, if I have to see that one Anchorman clip one more time, it really just makes him seem like a bitter old guy who just hates everything. Will would hit 100,000 subscribers in the middle of 2019 and released an interesting video called What This Channel Is About. The first 2 minutes he talks about how much he cares for storytelling and the power that film and TV can have, which I do have to agree with. He sounds passionate about why he loves these mediums and how they've affected him, but he loses me by saying how nowadays modern movies are always pushing political agendas, creatively bankrupt producers are ruining beloved IPs from the past, and Hollywood's just releasing bad movies. This may be a surprise to many of you out there, but that's been the case since the beginning of film. All movies have some themes or ideas that apply somewhere on the political spectrum, whether it's fairly obvious or just a small part of a film. Sure, some films may lack obvious themes or just very small parts of the movie as a whole, but most films, even with action, comedy, or kids films, technically are political because most have a message they're trying to tell. And when it comes to saying there are so many bad films compared to back then, that's just nostalgia speaking. When you think of the 80s, you think of Back to the Future, the original Star Wars trilogy, and the Rocky movies. But are we forgetting about the Jaws sequels, Superman 3 and 4, Howard the Duck, the Garbage Pail Kids movie? Those movies are just as bad or even worse than bad films today. But time forgets these atrocities in favor of good films. The next few years, the drinker would continue his usual style of content. Most of his videos from his time getting between 500,000 to 2 million views. Some of his videos getting even more, with his videos on Prometheus and The Predator getting over 5 million views each. One video that stuck out to me is how not to critique movies, a response to a negative video he did on Midsommar. I was curious, as a big film reviewer, what Will has to say on this topic. And for the most part, it's just him complaining about people talking about how themes don't make a film good. I mean, isn't that obvious? There's lots of idiots out there, but most people know that just because a movie has good themes, ideas, or an interesting story, that doesn't automatically make it good. The direction, script, characters, plot, story, cinematography, pacing, editing, and more are also parts of what makes a film good. The themes is a very small part of that. Whether it's a big focus or not, themes just add more substance to the film that leave you questioning or thinking about what you just watched, and maybe making you want to rewatch the film in the future. It's essentially one point of critique when it comes to film criticism. A video that could have been more interesting if you would have added more criticisms of film critiques. During this time period, the drinker would create 2 new series alongside his other videos, The Drinker Recommends and The Drinker Fixes. As the title suggests, those are series where Will either recommends a project or fixes a specific part of a film or TV show. The Drinker Recommends is an interesting series because it's such a completely random and inconsistent series that's hard to describe. It's either him recommending stuff grifters would grow to hate, like The Boys and Invincible, very popular and already beloved films, like Jaws or Fight Club, or new films that are very popular and liked, like Project Hail Mary and Obsession. Since its creation in August 2019 up until July of 2026, there have only been 38 videos. That may sound like a lot to many of you, but that is an average of recommending 5 to 6 movies or shows a year, including older projects as well. Seriously, are there not more things you enjoy, or do you just dislike or don't care about anything else? So far in 2026, he's recommended 3 movies, but that's a topic we'll be coming back to. Let's talk about The Drinker Fixes, a series even less frequent than this, one he recently relaunched. It's essentially Will talking about his genius writing skills and fixing flawed or controversial characters or movies from Hollywood, like Luke Skywalker or Game of Thrones. It's essentially just fan fiction, nothing too harmful or extraordinary, but Will has a lot of confidence in his writer skills, something we'll also revisit later as well. For the next few years, the drinker would continue his videos complaining about movies and shows that he hates and occasionally doing something else. hitting over 1 million subscribers at the end of 2021. There are some specific films or shows I myself have never watched, specifically any Star Trek project, Game of Thrones, or Doctor Who, so I won't be talking about those projects very much. But for the most part, except for a better microphone and editing quality increasing by like maybe 10%, nothing much has changed. This formula the drinker took part in is one that will work well until time will tell. When the drinker isn't just recapping the plot of a film and telling a flat joke, occasionally his criticism can be solid, but for the most part it's just old stuff good, new stuff bad. That formula applying to hundreds of his videos. One of the reasons why is because the drinker has a vendetta against Hollywood and how they're destroying movies. No longer are movies made for white men, as there are no white male protagonists anymore. Every woman is ugly and not beautiful as they were back then, and there are people of color everywhere. Ah! These complaints are found through basically most of the drinker's critiques, going back to his content from years earlier to this very day. Watching through many of his videos, it's amazing to see how often this critique is brought up again and again, but a good reason is never given as to why this is the problem, especially considering most of the time these are fictional IPs, not real world stuff. Most of these critiques are also very shallow. Will just attacks Hollywood and the message. He doesn't go into as much depth and specifics like his contemporaries. Not surprising, because what does a middle-aged Scottish man know about American politics? But most of the time he focuses more on the outside forces rather than the project itself. Very little does he talk about the direction, screenplay, acting, or technical aspects of the film. Rather if he enjoyed it and if he liked or disliked the people who created it, which handicaps him severely as a reviewer. Let's take a brief look at two creatives the drinker despises, Rian Johnson and James Gunn. Due to his hatred of Star Wars The Last Jedi, the drinker hates Johnson, which you'll clearly see when it comes to his videos about Johnson's 3 Knives Out films. Now, it's okay if you don't like a film that others like. We're all human and find some things more enjoyable than others. But when he discusses these films, especially Glass Onion, the drinker blatantly makes stuff up and calls everything stupid and convenient, calling Johnson's direction, screenplay, and characters either over the top or too boring. He ignores basically everything else other than the film, instead using his review to further attack Rian Johnson for making a Star Wars film he didn't like. With James Gunn it's more interesting. Basically out of nowhere he decided to hate on everything James Gunn and the DCU are releasing. Unlike most Gunn haters, he isn't even a big Zack Snyder fan as well. But similar to Johnson, just lies and claims projects like the recent Superman and Peacemaker Season 2 flopped and underperformed, even though nowhere was that proven to be true. Just hating just to hate. There's a lot more in-depth critiques that I won't mention here, as there are a lot of other YouTubers out there that have explained certain things in more detail and already did a great job on that. I'll leave links below to many of these videos if you're interested in checking them out, as they do a good job showing how disingenuous the drinker can really be. Oh, and shameless plug here, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps a lot. Thanks. The Critical Drinker has 2 other channels alongside his main channel. The first is Critical Drinker After Hours. It's basically the same thing as his main channel, except more random and less effort. Most of his videos on this channel consist of quick thoughts on a recent or upcoming project, on his series Drinkers Chasers and Drinkers Extra Shots. Usually something more niche and something that wouldn't get the same amount of views on his main channel. Many of his videos are shorter clips from his podcast Drinkers Open Bar, where he, alongside many creators like him such as Mauler, Nerdrotic, Heels vs Babyface, and many others talk about the same thing except in a less professional format. Like I said previously, there's really nothing special here, other than being less professional and somehow less effort. It's just the same shit, different day. A bunch of like-minded individuals talking amongst each other. There was actually a series that piqued my interest a little. His series Screen Tourism, where he goes around the world, or where he wants to go, and talks about filming locations in their respective locations and what films they were in. This series was whatever. Will isn't enthusiastic whatsoever, and the short length of this series doesn't let you see a more relaxed and normal Will outside or lots of cool filming locations. 2 quick things that apply to all of the drinker's content that holds his content back a bit. Aside from his podcasts, which usually reach around the 2-hour length, the average drinker video is around 5 to 15 minutes long. While technically not wasting your time, it never allows them to truly dive deep into a topic and explore to its full potential. It feels sort of half-assed. and to be pushed out as quickly as possible in order to get as many views and ad revenue as well, rather than be a true review. And the second thing is his voice. Let me explain. The drinker is supposed to be somewhat of a character, a drunken man complaining about stuff, but he just always sounds like that.
The human survivors eventually abandoned the planet to start a new colony on Titan, and the only people left behind are Jack and his assistant Vika, who as it turns out are an effective team.
No matter what type of video he's doing, Will always sounds like he's drunk on something or bored out of his mind. I'm definitely not saying he sounds or is stupid or anything, but just something interesting I noted when diving deep into his catalog of videos. The second side channel of his is The Critical Gamer, which, as you guess, is basically focused on gaming rather than film. Will has always had an interest in gaming. He did cover gaming on his main channel before dropping it, and this channel essentially picks up from that. His gameplay and reviews are nothing interesting, pretty boring videos overall, but of course the biggest videos are the drama ones where he criticizes the gaming industry using all of the critiques he uses for movies and shows. You know, games are also woke too. Drama will always give views on YouTube, especially when it comes to big creators, so it's a no-brainer why he did this. But without the Critical Drinker's name or face, these channels probably wouldn't have gone anywhere. The only reason these channels and the videos on them are being made is for the money.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
Going back to the main channel, things continued onward as they usually did, covering popular films with the drinker talking about how they mostly suck. On October 20th, 2022, on his Twitter page, Will announced a Kickstarter for a short film called Rogue Elements, a Ryan Drake story, based on his novels of the same name. You see, I haven't mentioned it previously, but before even starting YouTube, Will had been publishing books about Ryan Drake starting in 2012, following a British ex-soldier turned CIA shepherd, who locates missing agents while uncovering mysteries and fighting dangers in this currently 11-book action thriller series, which hasn't received the best reception for the most part. Meant to be just like the action films of the 90s and something against Hollywood, Will ultimately raised over £300,000 or $400,000 from 5,200 backers. Production began on this short film and not much was heard from until February of 2024, when the trailer for Rogue Elements appeared. Aside from his fans, this trailer received mainly mixed to negative reactions. It was still a little too early to tell how this project would end up as. We'd have to wait until November 25th to see the resulting project, Rogue Elements, TV series proof of concept. And the result? Well, let me give you a quick review of this film. Rogue Elements is one of the most boring and generic things I've ever seen. A bland thriller that feels like a terrible Tom Clancy ripoff. There is very little to enjoy in this film. Now, it's important to note that Will's only involvement in the film was writing it. This was directed by some guy named Travis Grant, but he still holds a lot of blame as to why this film is so bad. Let's talk about the script, which is quite easily the worst part of the film and Will's involvement. Despite its 40-minute runtime, 5 or more being opening and ending credits, it still moves at a sluggish pace. Ryan Drake and the other unmemorable characters of the film are not interesting whatsoever, and you're expected to know who they are. I never read any of the Ryan Drake books. Sorry to anyone who wanted to hear me talk about them, but I do not have the time or patience to read 11 generic thriller novels. You would have to pay me a large sum of money to actually do that. But after watching this short film, I have even less desire to do so. The dialogue is painfully forgettable. It's just meant to push the story forward, not establishing any of the characters of the film. And the story itself is also pretty bad and something you have seen dozens upon dozens of times before. Essentially just infiltrating a military base, and that's it. All of the things the drinker criticized about modern Hollywood can be found in this short film. Basically all of them, to a T. The only two feelings you'll feel is sheer boredom, with a feeling of relief once you see the credits begin. But the 2 mid-credit scenes will take away that feeling pretty quickly. Travis Grant's direction is subpar, looking drab and ugly the whole time, and technical aspects of the film feeling very amateur as well. The acting is also amateur as well. I don't know if the direction was that bad or the actors weren't very good, but they do nothing whatsoever to make this film enjoyable at all. The best part of the film is the comment section. Practically every comment flaming this film and will be the most entertaining part of your experience. This may be a hot take, but I don't think this film is a 1 out of 10 movie, but a 2 out of 10. After all, it's a short and cheap film that most weren't expecting much from. and it did bring some generational comments. But overall, Rogue Elements is a disastrous waste of time that I wish I could get my time back from. Along with that, this severely ruined a lot of the drinker's credibility, with the fault of this not helping things out either. How can you be a film critic when your short film is one of the worst out there? This showed how poor the drinker's writing can actually be, and how all of the criticisms he gives to other films should be applied to his own work as well. Sitting at a 2.2 out of 5 on Letterboxd and a 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb, Rogue Elements was not received very well by the general public. But what was Will's reaction to these critiques? In his video Lessons Learned from Rogue Elements from Critical Drinker After Hours, the drinker talks about his experience on the film, and it basically just boils down to, I made a pretty good movie, but everyone around me just fucked up. He blames rules and regulations, the main actress in his film, the budget, the haters, and basically everyone except himself. Similar to the film, the comments call out Will's hypocrisy and ask why this wasn't on his main channel, deservedly so. The drinker still defends this film from time to time, but Rogue Elements was basically forgotten about. Apparently another short film of him is set to be released this year, titled Trial by Fire, a Ryan Drake story. But little is known about it other than the fact that the drinker is sort of setting up his own cinematic universe of sorts, with friend Mulder helping out. A very disappointing film with a well-deserved backlash. Moving past Rogue Elements, the drinker continued what he's usually doing, week by week, up until this very day. He started a series called Crash and Burn, where he talks about Hollywood figures who have fallen off, aka doesn't like. It's always specific groups of people he talks about, woke individuals who are ruining movies, but most of the time are talking about celebrities people already hate, really big celebrities that are still famous and doing good, or just people he despises. A pretty unremarkable series by my books. The drinker's content never drastically changed in a good or bad way, and he just continues to do his usual types of content for movies and shows every year. It's a very solid concept that never ages, as he will always find views, as there will always be audiences for this type of content. Unlike many of his contemporaries though, who are seeing views decline slightly or dramatically, the drinker is still getting really good views and gaining subscribers. Looking at just his main channel, most of his views get between 500,000 to over 2 million views, and when he really focuses on hot drama, those view counts go above and beyond. Recently though, the drinker has been using a ton of AI in his thumbnails. Most of his old thumbnails were still random screenshots with maybe another image, but somehow his thumbnails have gotten even worse and lazier, just using AI to make something he's talking about, which is pretty disgusting to see. As of me writing and recording this, the two hot topics for him right now are about Supergirl and The Odyssey. Just one of many topics for him to grift about, even though he's still about to see those films opening day. If the drinker would put more time and effort into some of these videos, maybe making longer, more professional videos with more in-depth writing and thumbnails, I have a strong feeling he could have been a bigger YouTuber than he is now and attract a much wider audience of people to his side. But that brings me to my final point. There is one video of Will's I want to discuss before wrapping things up. In April of this year, Will uploaded a video called Unforgiven, analyzing the greatest Western ever made. To be honest, this video is alright, a return to video essays for him. I love Unforgiven just like The Drinker. It's a really amazing film full of so many wonderful parts that really help it stand out today as one of the best 90s and Western films out there. So I was genuinely curious about what he had to say after watching him bitch and moan for hours and hours. This is an alright video essay. The drinker does for once actually dive into what makes Unforgiven so special, analyzing the characters and central themes of the story very well, even though large chunks of the video are plot summary. But he still has to bring up how much better films are from back then compared to today. Even when talking about a movie he's loved for years and watched countless times, he still has to talk about how woke and bad Hollywood is today compared to back then. Although he's never stated outright, the critical drinker is very clearly a conservative figure. That honestly doesn't matter much. I don't think you should dislike someone just because they aren't on the same side of the political spectrum as you. But the drinker goes out of his way to critique most things that are considered liberal and praise anything labeled conservative. Considering the figures and organizations he's associated with, being friends with controversial conservative Ben Shapiro, and being labeled as a speaker for the Young America's Foundation, a conservative nonprofit organization, he doesn't really hide the way he feels politically, but it doesn't go outright to say these things. You just have to do a little research yourself, something most people will never do. Most conservatives are pretty anti-art, And looking at the critical drinker, his content, and media preferences, he's found a large group of people online who are just like him. Angry individuals who always have something to complain about no matter what. Although a polarizing figure for obvious reasons, it makes sense how he found such a large audience considering all of the negativity and toxicity found everywhere online. His reviews and rants have never evolved over the years, but are part of a format that will seemingly work extremely well for the foreseeable future. Despite backlash and controversy, nothing can seem to stop the drinker, as it seems he's expected to continue to grow more and more as well. Even though he's such a massive creator, the critical drinker to me feels like a largely forgettable and unmemorable creator. Although he has his fans, he doesn't offer anything special, and if he were to suddenly disappear one day, another YouTuber would quickly fill up his spot and replace him with the same complaints and videos that he always makes. I'm not trying to sound like a miserable asshole, but ask yourself, what are some truly special videos that Will has made that only he could have made that will hold up years to come? Other than complaining about movies, something of which there are plenty of on this platform, there's not really much. The critical drinker stands out because of nothing really. He replicated a successful format and continued doing it until he reached success, so props for him. But in the grand scheme of things, hasn't offered much of anything else compared to many of his friends and critics. From watching his videos, we never got to know Will the person, his other hobbies, or even anything remotely personal. I never even mentioned, but he's married with kids, because he himself either doesn't want people to know about his personal life, or doesn't care about having a community that knows or cares about him. To answer my question from the beginning of the video, I think Will kind of cares about movies, mainly from his past, but nowadays just talk about them for all of the money he's raking in, and you can tell from his videos. The critical drinker may be one of the biggest film creators out there on YouTube, but he will never be regarded as one of the best.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Shut up! Shut the fuck up! You have no right to take me. Shut up! Will you shut up? Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Hey you guys, thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. This took a lot of research and editing and recording and writing all that stuff, so I'd really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing if you haven't already. I'm currently moving right now, which is why I'm in a different setup and why this video is taking like a lot longer than it should be. So any help of that kind would be greatly appreciated. In 2 or 3 weeks, I should have everything set up and you guys are going to be getting better content than everything before. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching to the very end, and I hope to see you all next time.